Welcome to Tuesday Talks, your educational podcast helping parents become strong advocates for their kids and teachers to make big impacts in the classroom. Here we go. Hey, welcome back to Tuesday Talks. Whether you have been listening since the very beginning or today is your very first episode, I am so glad that you are here. If you're new, welcome. I'm Dr. Tiffany. I'm a speech language pathologist, an educator, a mom who has spent the last 20 years working alongside children, families, teachers, and schools. And Tuesday Talks is where we have honest conversations about education without the educational jargon, right? Like all the educational vocabulary words, we break it down here. And my goal is simple: to help parents understand the school system, help teachers feel seen, and ultimately help kids thrive. To all of my returning listeners, welcome back. I truly missed you and having these conversations over our summer break. I hope summer included a little rest, a little laughter, and maybe a few moments where you intentionally unplugged from the busyness of the school day and the school year. But now we're entering one of my favorite seasons, not just because school is beginning again, because I also am thrilled to send my kid back to school, but also because every new school year gives us something incredibly powerful: a fresh start. Not just for our kids, but for us as parents, as teachers, as families, as partners in a child's education. Today isn't just the beginning of a new season of Tuesday Talks, even though I'm very excited about season 4. It's the beginning of a conversation that I hope will shape the way you think about school for the entire school year. So I term this the backpack problem. Tell me if you've ever noticed what happens every August or whenever your kid goes back to school. Some go right after Labor Day. But as the school year approaches, have you noticed that stores fill their shelves with lots of colorful backpacks, school supplies, parents are comparing lunch boxes, kids pick out the coolest sneakers, the flyest clothes, teachers spend hundreds of their own dollars decorating their classrooms, getting extra supplies for their students. Social media fills up with the most adorable first day of school pictures. And don't get me wrong, I love every bit of it. I put my kid's picture up too for the first day of school. I love seeing the smiling faces standing on the front porch with the oversized backpacks, or, the middle schooler who's trying to look cool in the brand new shoes. But here's what I've learned after 2 decades in education. We spend far more time preparing our kids for the first day of school than we do preparing them for the school year itself. Just think about that. Many families spend hours shopping, but how many spend 30 intentional minutes talking about the kinds of situations their kids actually face during the school year? And I'm not talking about math or spelling. I'm talking about life, disappointment, friendships, responsibility, respect, technology, failure, success, conflict, kindness, and advocacy. Those conversations matter long after the new backpack is worn out, tossed in the corner. So today, I don't want to give you 10 tips about getting your kid ready for school, right? We've heard those before. I want to share 10 conversations that you need to have with your kid to prepare them for the entire school year, because conversations shape mindset, and every family has one. So the question is, have you intentionally created your family's mindset about the school year? All right, so if you take notes, get your notebook ready, get your notes app open on your phone. This is the first conversation I want you to have to get your kids prepared for the entire school year. Who do we want to be this year? Notice I didn't say ask, what grades do you want to get? That's important, but character always outlasts report cards. Around this time of year, many families ask kids what grades they want to make, and that's great. I want your kid to excel academically. But what if we also ask, what kind of person do you want to become this school year? Do you want to become somebody who works hard, somebody who tells the truth, someone who encourages their classmates, someone who includes the kid that's maybe sitting alone, someone who doesn't give up when something feels challenging. Those are conversations worth having because success isn't just measured by what kids know, it's measured by who they become while they're learning. I really want you to let that sink in. Okay, conversation number 2. What does respect actually look like? Respect is one of those words we use all the time, right? I talk to my son about being respectful, but kids often don't really know what it actually means. Respect isn't simply saying yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am, or yes, sir, or no, sir. Respect looks like listening when someone else is talking. Respect means putting your phone away when your teacher is teaching. Respect means disagreeing without becoming disrespectful. Respect means speaking kindly to your classmates. And respect means taking ownership when you make a mistake. Because kids don't automatically know these things. We have to teach them. And most importantly, we have to model them for them. And throughout this season, you're going to hear me talk about modeling for our kids because as the parent, we are the ones that set the standard. We are the ones that set how our kids show up when they get into that classroom. And so we don't want to just rest on just assuming that our kids know what it means when we say be respectful. Talk about what that means from your perspective as their parent and what it looks like for your family. All right, conversation number 3. How will our family use technology this school year? If you listened last season, you know we've had some wonderful conversations about YouTube, AI, and the idea of trust but verify. Our kids are consuming all of this information on these platforms and they take it as truth. When we as adults know that some of this stuff is concocted, it's AI, it's just made up, but our kids are consuming it like it's truth. And so we talked last season about teaching our kids how to trust what they see, but also verify what they hear and see as well. And technology isn't going anywhere. So our goal shouldn't be to raise our kids to fear technology. Our goal should be to raise kids who know how to think while using technology. So you ask questions like, when is technology helpful? Get into the dialogue with your kid about that. When is technology distracting? And these are questions you can ask a 5-year-old all the way up to high school, right? Also asking, how do we know if the information that we are consuming is accurate? Fact checking, talking to them about what that looks like, how you fact check yourself when you see something online. And also talking about when you should ask an adult for help. I know my son is one of those silent strugglers. He will sit and struggle in silence before he goes and asks for any assistance. And that's a hurdle that I know he has to overcome. And so we talk about that at the beginning of the school year because I want him to get out of that habit. There's no reason to suffer in silence. And a lot of it I've discovered has come down to pride, you not wanting to look like you don't know. But we all don't know something. Like we had to ask or look into something to learn about it. So that's one way that I've discussed it with my kid. But making sure that kids know when they need to go to ask for help with something academic, something social, or even something emotional as well. These conversations become even more important throughout the school year as those friendships maybe take a left turn. People start using unkind words. I don't like to throw around the word bullying, but just unkindness. And so we got to know if our kids understand when they need to go seek an adult for help or at least to talk through a situation. Okay, conversation number 4. Homework belongs to who? This one may step on a few toes. Homework belongs to your child, not you. I'm going to say it again. Homework belongs to your child, not you, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, auntie. Your role is not to rescue during homework. It's to support them. If every assignment becomes a family project, your child's teacher never gets to see what your child actually knows because you're giving them answers. So instead of giving them answers, ask questions. Show me how you got started with this problem, this paragraph. What do you think your teacher wants you to write about or put here? Explain your thinking. Because we know, and we talked about this last season when we had our conversation about the learning pit, learning happens in the struggle. Growth often feels uncomfortable before it feels successful. And that's something that my son even joined for an episode last season to talk about how he feels like the learning pit has helped him. Even when in the beginning, he felt like that learning pit, that moment where you feel like, I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know how to figure out this problem. I don't know how to finish this paragraph. I don't know how to build this diorama, whatever it is, that learning pit, this like low point where maybe confidence goes down, insight goes down, frustration goes up. Those uncomfortable moments is where the growth happens. And if we're jumping in to rescue our kids from homework and just giving them the answers, we are taking away their opportunity to grow through the discomfort. And when they don't experience that, they can't feel the success that comes with overcoming the struggle. They need it. It's called productive struggle for a reason. Okay, conversation number 5. What do we do when things don't go our way? Here's a promise. Something is going to happen this school year that your kid is not going to like. Someone won't get picked. Someone won't make the team. Someone will forget an assignment. Someone will have a disagreement with a friend. Someone will get a disappointing grade. Failure isn't the emergency. Our response to the failure is. So teach your kids now, we don't quit after one bad day. We don't blame everyone else when something didn't get done. We learn, we adjust, we keep going. That is resilience. And resilience is teachable. Not only is it teachable, but we have to model it for our kids too. And sometimes when we are modeling resilience, we as parents have to open up and be vulnerable to talk with our kids about a moment when we felt disappointed about something, but had to dust ourselves off and keep it moving. We have to be open enough to have those conversations with our kids so that they can see how we might have pushed through a point that we wanted to quit, but we couldn't. So definitely modeling and talking to your kids about what they're going to do when things don't go their way. Because it's not just going to happen once this school year. It's going to happen many, many times. So if you have the conversation now, early in the school year, you're planting those seeds in their mind that you can come back to and revisit. Hey, remember at the start of the school year, we talked about things not going your way? What did we say we were going to do in those moments? And bring back to the front of mind what your kids shared. Okay, conversation number 6 that I want you to have with your kid at the start of the school year. How do we choose friends? Oh my gosh, parents often ask, what if my child doesn't make friends? Okay, I think the better question is, what kind of friend are we teaching our kid to become? And when we talk about that, we have to discuss kindness, inclusion, peer pressure, gossip, what to do when someone's left out. Because friendships can build confidence or they can undermine it. And helping kids recognize healthy friendships is one of the greatest gifts that we can give them. If you listened last season, you heard me talking about how to end toxic friendships. I had Ayoka Hannah on as a special guest. She's a school social worker, and she shared some of the situations that she has had to talk with her middle school students about. Because again, friendships can help lift you up, and we know as adults they can also tear you down, become a distraction, become a point of frustration. And when our kids don't know how to handle those things, they can either start to internalize negative images of themselves or they can start to lash out. And we don't really want either one of those things to happen. So helping them recognize what a healthy friendship looks like. What does a good friend treat you like? How do you treat a friend? Asking those types of questions will become paramount as kids start to navigate the ups and downs that come with any grade level, any friendship, any social situation. Okay, conversation number 7 that I want you to have with your kid right at the start of the school year. How do we handle conflict? Remember, conflict is not failure. Conflict is a part of life. The question isn't whether your child is going to experience conflict, because I guarantee you they will. The question is whether they know how to respond to it. Can they disagree respectfully? Can they apologize sincerely? Can they listen? Will they advocate for themselves? Can they ask for help before situations become bigger? These are lifelong skills that we need our kids to start thinking about now. And again, if you listened last season, I shared some stories about my son navigating what he even described as toxic friendships and conflict that he was having with those friends. And we had to sit down and have conversations about it because my son is more of someone who just quietly deal with everything internally. He's not like ready to fight, but whether your kid is a fighter or someone who just takes everything in personally, both can be equally damaging to their self confidence. And so, having those conversations early on will be very helpful because conflict is something that will definitely happen. And we got to talk to our kids about how to handle it. And we got to talk to them about it early and maybe even share some ways that you, as the parent, dealt with conflict in real time or maybe something that happened in the past. Remember that insight and vulnerability will become really helpful for your kids to see that you deal with some of the same things that they do. And you're dealing with them from an adult mindset, not the child mindset. And it gives them a path to want to follow. All right, conversation number 8. Teachers are our partners, not our opponents. This might be one of the most important conversations to have from today's episode. Children pay attention to how adults talk about teachers. If every conversation at home suggests that teachers are either out to get them or looking to hem them up about something or trying to intentionally frustrate them, children walk into school expecting that conflict to show up. So instead, teach kids that teachers are people too. They got their own families, their own things that they're thinking about on top of being responsible for teaching kids what they need to know throughout the school year. Teachers are people who care, people who make mistakes, people who work incredibly hard, and people who want students to succeed. Partnership with teachers really begins with the language that we use when we're talking about teachers at home or in conversation with others. We really have to be mindful of that as parents. My son shared something that happened with a teacher in his class, and I said, well, you know what? Maybe she's just finding her footing. It's the first couple of weeks of school. Expect her to make a mistake and come back and say, I said do this, but really I want this to happen. She's human, right? Like, teach them that they are people. They're gonna mess up. They're gonna have to go back to the drawing board on something. They're gonna give an assignment that maybe later they reflect on and say, you know what, that was not the best assignment to get at what I wanted the kids to learn. But teaching your kids that in the way that you talk about their teachers is going to be really, really important. All right, conversation 9. When should we advocate? I hope every parent listening hears this because I believe deeply in parent advocacy. You have every right to ask questions. You have every right to request a meeting. You have every right to seek clarification and understand your child's educational plan. Advocacy is not about being loud. It's not about being confrontational. It is about being informed. It's about working with schools, not against them, to support your child. That's the difference between confrontation and collaboration. You have to see your role as a parent advocate for your own kid as one that is geared towards collaboration. Ask questions. Instead of going in ready to finger point and blame, ask questions. We all know sometimes kids come home and they give you the half of the story that they want you to hear and maybe that shines them in a good light, right? But just know there's always another side to it. And so ask questions. Be inquisitive instead of blaming and finger pointing or confrontational. So conversation number 10. What do we want this school year to mean? at the end of this school year, what story do you hope your family tells? Not just we made good grades. Again, that's great. Celebrate the A's, the B's, whatever is success for your kids. Celebrate it. But I hope that when you think about what the school year has meant, that you use terms like we grew, we became more responsible, we learned perseverance, we became kinder, we learned how to communicate better, we worked together. Those are victories that last far beyond a report card and far beyond a single school year. So one thing you'll hear throughout season 4 is this: kids succeed when adults in their lives are aligned. I'm going to say it again. Kids succeed when the adults in their lives are aligned. That doesn't mean parents always agree with teachers, or teachers always agree with administrators, or schools always get everything right. It means we stay focused on the child at the center. And every episode this season will explore that idea from different angles. We'll talk about IEPs. We'll talk about specifically in design instruction. We'll tackle AI in education. We are definitely going to discuss middle school because I have a middle schooler this year and I'm kind of freaking out internally about all the social dynamics. We're going to talk about conflict resolution, friendships, teacher perspectives, parent advocacy, mental health, early childhood, high school education, and everything in between. Because education isn't just about academics, it's about relationships. And when those relationships become stronger, students flourish. So before school starts, or if school has already begun, I want you to schedule one family conversation, not a lecture, not a list of rules, a conversation. Ask your child, what kind of person do you want to become this school year? Then ask yourself the very same question, because our kids aren't the only ones growing this school year. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. I don't take it lightly. If today's episode encouraged you, challenged you, or reminded you of a conversation your family needs to have, I hope you'll share it with another parent, another teacher, or grandparent. The best conversations don't end when the episode does. They continue around the dinner tables, in the classrooms, on the car rides home. Next week, we're diving into one of the most requested topics from our listeners, kids who have IEPs. And we're going to walk through what every parent should know at the beginning of a new school year, from meeting the new special education teacher and understanding service implementation to tracking progress and making sure that the IEP just isn't a document on paper, but it's a plan that is actually being carried out. So until next time, keep asking questions, keep building bridges, keep showing up for the children in your life, and remember, one child, 3 partners, endless possibilities. I'm Dr. Tiffany, and this has been Tuesday Talks. I'll see you next time. Bye. Be sure to share this episode and join me for another Tuesday Talks next time. See ya.